Hey everyone. Thanks for listening to the Diet Diaries today. I don't know what date this is going to air. Summer schedule is a little bit weird, so I'm recording this kind of a bit in advance so that I have a little bit of flexibility, but it's a topic I've really been wanting to talk about it, so it's all good. And what I'm going to talk about today is kind of building off of a post that I shared. At this point, it'll be a couple weeks ago. And it was a reel where I talked about my future self. So here's the genesis behind this. There's been this really big trend on social media, and I'm probably a little bit late on this trend because that's how I am. I'm not on TikTok, where people will quote unquote have coffee with their 18 or 23-year-old self, right? And so it's a reel or a TikTok video, whatever, where you have coffee with that version of yourself, and basically you tell them all the things that you want them to know, or the things that were going to work out, or the things you would have done differently. And I get it. Certainly, we have to learn from history and learn from things we've done in the past. But to me, there's a lot more opportunity in looking ahead to how we can change and impact our future self, because that person isn't here yet. And I love this articulation I wrote in the reel that I did, that your future self is a breath, a minute, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, or more away, right? There are many, an infinite almost number of versions of your future self, between literally a breath from now and an hour from now and a year from now. And there are so many ways to impact her. And what if we shifted from talking to someone that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago to the person we're going to be in a minute from now, or 5 minutes, or an hour, or a year? And I know sometimes thinking about your future self in these larger time gaps is hard, because it feels vague and it feels really amorphous, and it feels well, that's not going to happen, or I have so much time to fix this, or it just feels hard to envision. But imagining yourself a breath from now, or a minute from now, or 5 minutes from now is pretty close in. You can kind of visualize what things are going to be in the next 5 to 10 minutes, or even an hour. And so I wanted to kind of talk about today, I'm going to do a companion email for this one as well, with a bit of a worksheet for this, because I think this is really, really important and a really big part of behavior change, is to start to think about, kind of in different categories, what are you doing to support these different versions of your future self, right? So let's get really specific about this. I'm going to break out a worksheet, I think, and there might be some changes based on what I'm saying, but a minute from now, 5 minutes, an hour, a day, a week, a month, and a year. And we're going to break them out by categories, around self-talk, around food, around exercise, and I'll probably come up with some other categories, right? And so I think I'm thinking maybe it'll be a bit of a grid. So you have kind of the category of food, and what are you doing today to support the future version of yourself in the category of food, a minute from now, 5 minutes from now, an hour from now, etc., right? So here's what I mean by this, right? I think food, we can start with food. Let's say that you have dinner and you want dessert, you order dessert, and it's your favorite dessert. For me, cake, I love cake. I'm a cake person, right? So I order my favorite piece of cake and I have a few bites. It's really good. And it starts to get kind of full. And I know that eating that full piece of cake is way more food, more calories than my body needs, right? I know that if I finish it, I'm going to feel really full. But in the moment, it feels so fucking good. That cake tastes good. And I want to eat it now because it feels good, right? And there's a lot of neurological, biochemical stuff going on that's driving us to eat this thing. This is a really good example of how we can use one sort of situation and think about our future self in the immediate future, but then also kind of in the distant future, right? So if I think about myself 10, 15 minutes from now, if I finish eating that piece of cake, I'm going to feel gross. I'm going to feel stuffed. I'm going to feel probably frustrated and disappointed that I ate past my point of fullness and ate more than I needed to, and ate in a way that's out of alignment with what I know is good for me, right? So there's going to be a big physical component and there's going to be a big emotional component, right? And there, depending on where you are at in your work with food, there could be guilt, there could be shame. Absolutely. With the work I've done, I'm not going to feel guilty or ashamed, but I'm going to be really pissed at myself that I ate in a way that I know is fully out of alignment with what feels good for me. Now, are there certain situations where finishing that piece of cake could be in alignment? Yes. This is not always a black and white thing. I'm just giving you a specific example, right? So if I'm having that cake and I can pause and I can think about myself 5 or 10 minutes from now and say, how am I going to feel 5 or 10 minutes from now? How can I take care of Jordana in 5 minutes from now? I can stop eating this cake. I can take care of her. And then let's say 5 or 10 minutes pass and I'm like, oh, I'd like some more cake. Okay, well then maybe I have some more cake then. And then how is that also taking care of Jordana a week or a month from now, right? This gets a little bit nuanced, but if I were to finish the cake every single time I wanted to, I'm going to gain weight eventually, right? And I'm going to be eating more food, more calories, more energy, if we really break it down and get clinical about it, than my body needs. And that is, in most cases, for me specifically, I'm talking about my personal situation, not me taking care of myself, right? I can eat that cake and I can like maximize my enjoyment out of it. I don't need to eat the whole thing to maximize that enjoyment out of it. So by pausing and thinking about my future self a week or a month from now, where my body's had time to kind of like process that and respond to it and start to do something with it, right? I'm potentially going to gain weight, not from eating one piece of cake, but if I never think about my future self every time I have dessert, yeah, eventually like there's going to be a longer term impact to that, right? There's a short term 5-minute impact where I'm going to feel really full and overstuffed and physically uncomfortable and disappointed that I didn't pause and slow down and really think about my future self. And then there's going to be the longer term of, wow, well, now like I've gained a little bit of weight, my clothes are tight, and I know that I'm really not showing up and taking care of myself in the way that I need to. Okay. So that's like a really specific example. This shows up with exercise. This shows up with self-talk. This could show up with getting dressed. And this is also goes far outside the realm of the work we do here in terms of like relationships and work and other like behaviors that you do around like maybe around like cleaning up around the house, or going to bed early, or how much time you're spending on social media, or how much time you're spending reading books, or any of the ways and the responsibilities and the things that we have. We are wired as such and live in such a world where instant gratification and feeling good in the moment is something that we are kind of constantly contending with. And so learning to practice how to pause and think about a version of yourself that doesn't yet exist, but is going to exist, right? Is going to exist 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now. And I'm going to like completely set aside the, well, anything could happen at any moment and you could get in a car accident tomorrow. I'm just not like going to go down that road, right? Like I'm taking the more positive outlook on things that, yeah, you're going to be around for a while. And how do you want to take care of that person? Because how you take care of that person happens in this moment. It happens now. So we always have a choice with how we want to take care of that person who isn't quite here yet, but who is going to be here, right? It's a little trippy, but there are versions of you in the past and you can't take care of them anymore. They are done. They are over with. Whether that version was a minute ago, 5 minutes ago, the same thing, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year ago, 10, 20, 30 years ago, they are over. You cannot impact them. And we always do. We always look back like I shouldn't have done that, or what if I haven't done that? What if I didn't eat that cake? What if I'd made a different decision? What if I didn't do this? I should have stopped. I shouldn't have overeaten. I should have drank that much. I shouldn't have done all these things. I should have done the workout. I shouldn't have hit snooze, right? All the things. You can't change that shit. But you can change tomorrow whether you go to the gym. You can change tomorrow whether you hit snooze. You can change tomorrow whether you eat an entire bag of cookies or just 3, right? That's where all the opportunity is. And we spend so much time looking back with regret and guilt and shame. And it's like, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time because it's not, because last week's podcast or 2 weeks ago, I talked about like looking backwards and see what led up to this moment. There's valuable information there for sure. It's kind of like if we only ever look back and we never look forward and think about our future self, that's the problem, right? Okay, look back, fine, talk to your 18-year-old self. Think about what you did yesterday, the day before, learn from that. Yes. I mean, I have a whole course around like food journaling and learning and connecting those dots. But then we have to take that and we have to apply it and we have to use it to take care of our future self. And I wanted to start to create a framework to do that because it feels kind of ambiguous to say, take care of your future self. Like, yeah, that sounds like this kind of like like, yeah, nice, like flighty, idealized, like, oh, I love my future self. But what does that actually look like? I want this to become a thing, right? An actual skill that you can do. And so that's why I wanted to create a framework around it. And so if you're not on my email list and you want a copy of this worksheet, send me a message and I'll get it to you. But I'm going to try to start doing this maybe a bit more about having companion podcasts with posts or companion podcasts with emails to kind of add more context, more flavor, more nuance. And if you prefer to listen versus read, right? So you're kind of able to get support and content in different ways. And also repetition is helpful. And sometimes it's really helpful to listen to something and then read something and have them overlap. Things click differently. We need to hear things, way more than 2 times, many times for them to really sink in. But really the question is, what are you doing today to support these versions of your future self, right? And there's many versions. And so it's hard to think about all of them at once, right? We can't think about every version of our future self. So let's get specific. And I think very often it's easier to get more specific with the versions of our future self that are closer in, because they're coming very soon. And it's kind of like, there's been research studies that show, like, I remember, like, from growing up, like, this is your brain on drugs. Like, I don't know, like, I think a lot of the research was that stuff, like, wasn't that effective. And you show people, like, all those, like, kind of old school commercials when they show, like, your lung, like, if you smoke and, like, what the lung looks like, that people really can't connect themselves to these things that are so far into the future. It's too far away. It's hard to grasp. People think they still have time to change things. They think it won't happen to them. But something like 5 minutes from now is a lot closer, and you can really visualize. You kind of know where you're going to be in 5 minutes. You know where you're going to be. You know what you're going to be doing. You know who you're going to be with, and you know how you want to feel in 5 minutes. A year from now, 5 years from now, that's a lot harder. So I'd really suggest that you start close in. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a week. And I would maybe even cap it at like a week. And so as you think about your future self, thinking about it in those time frames and across different categories, right? Eating, exercise, self-talk, getting dressed. Those are kind of like some of the big things that we talk about here. And then if you want to expand it beyond that, work, stress, family stuff, absolutely, you can. It applies. So that's what I got for you today. I hope this is helpful. Always love to hear from you. Keep me posted. What's going on with you guys out there in the ether? I kind of talk to myself out here. Thank you for being here. Always, always, always. More soon.